Good evening and welcome to the FITT Show, financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby Kinzer.
And I am Thomas Doty.
And we are the FITT Show, helping our folks get their finances in shape. Hey, Dote, how's everything going in your world, my brother?
Man, I'm living in Vegas. In Vegas right now, and I went to the casino and donated a little bit of money, but I'm doing all right.
Oh, okay. Okay. Did you get lucky at all?
No, I told you I donated.
Oh, that's what you meant. Sorry to hear that.
I do it like a show ticket, man. I set a ticket price, and once that money's spent, the show is over. I leave.
Well, I'm sure you had fun, and that's the thing about what we say. Only gamble what you can afford to lose.
Oh yeah, it was fun. It was fun.
That's a good thing, man. Well, Dote, we in some crazy days and times. Inflation is headed to double digits, the highest in 40 years. Gas prices going up. Food prices are going up. The Federal Reserve has already had a Fed fund rate increase, and they plan to do, they said, a couple of more, if not three more, within this year, and that's going to affect folks. So it's a lot of crazy stuff going on. So today's show, we're going to be talking about how to build wealth in tough times. Before we get to that, though, I just want to remind everyone to please go out there on, if you're on Facebook Live, and click on the thumbs up, the like button, and click on the heart button. That way we can, it expands us to more viewers. The more likes we get, the more hearts we get, the more viewers we get access to. And if you are on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel, because that also helps us expand to our audience. And put some comments in there, y'all, because actually comments drive things even more, believe it or not. And comments, or you got some questions, or you have some topics you want us to check out, hey, please put them in the comment box. So with that, Dope, let's get into the top of this show's most favorite topic, the stock market.
Yeah, it's been volatile as we've been talking about for the last several months. It's been really crazy. The last week, the Dow, it's been pretty much flat. It's at 34.8, closed at 34.6 today. Well, the Nasdaq's actually down a little bit. A week ago it's 14.3. This week it's 13.9. And some of my favorite stocks, Microsoft is down 7 points from 308 to 301. Apple's staying pretty flat. It's about 174 to 172. It closed at 172 today. Tesla, which made the big move last week, actually gave some of that gain back. It went from 1080 to 1057. And my Pfizer finally made a move. It's up 4 points. It was 51 a week ago. It's 55 today. And again, that's a stock I actually bought because it pays a pretty good dividend, which is what I was looking for. And any capital appreciation is gravy. So things are going to continue to be like this. There's going to be big increases and big decreases until things settle down, and nobody knows when that's going to be. So you just have to stand firm, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, that market is, that's why they call it the market. You have losers and you have winners. Just hope that you pick more winners than you do losers. So, though, let's talk about my favorite subject, cryptocurrency.
Crypto.
Yeah, crypto, man. Last week, the market cap was at $2.18 trillion. This week is down to $2.11 trillion. So we had some sell-off. Last week, Bitcoin was at $45,723. This week at 7 p.m., it was down to $43,670. But it's up 0.5 basis points today. And the market cap last week for Bitcoin was at 868 billion, which is almost half of the crypto market. So it's still the number one in the number one place, ranked number one. But today is down to 829 billion. So there's been some sell-off. It's up 1% today. But the market cap, want to talk about Shiba Inu, man. Shiba just been, was going down, but then it started coming back up. Shiba's been pretty, well, all of them are volatile, but it seems like Shiba's been very volatile, man. And Shiba is up 1% today, and it's a market cap. Last week was at 14.2 billion. This week is down to 13.6, and reason why billion. The reason why I state that, because I always tell y'all the things to look at is the volume, the market cap, and how much is in circulation. That usually gives you an idea on how the cryptocurrency is moving. Some of you out there who has the Doge coin, or some people call it Dodge, and some people call it Dog coin. Last week it was at 13 cents. This week is at 14 cents. That's a big jump, believe it or not, for cryptocurrency. It's up about 9 basis points. And last week, the week before last, it was at 13. Last week it moved at rank number 12, and it's still holding at 12. I want to give a little insight on Ethereum. Right. And Ethereum, a lot of people have that dope, and that's what they call a smart contract. And there's 3 types. You got regular cryptocurrency, you have smart contracts, you got stable coins. The smart contract is a computer program, just like Bitcoins, or a transaction protocol, which is intended to automatically execute, control, or document legally relevant events and actions according to the terms of the contract for an agreement. So these are supposed to be considered a little bit structured more than the regular cryptocurrency. And the objective of smart contracts are the reduction of the need in trusted intermediaries, arbitrations, and enforcement costs, supposed to reduce fraud losses, as well as the reduction of malicious and accidental exceptions. So that's when you hear about smart contracts. Like and Binance has smart contracts too. And just want to let y'all know those are the other different kinds of cryptocurrency. And then we had the stable coins, which is pegged to the US dollar. And those are like Tether and USD coin. And they just been holding, and they ranked around 5th place and 3rd place. Tether was 3rd. So they up there in the top 10. And that's usually what I look at, dope, the top 10 cryptocurrencies. But that's a little update on the cryptocurrency world, dope. By the way, man, gold, dope, is at $1,940. And year to date, it's up about 8%. It's up about $136 an ounce. And the same with silver. Silver is up about 9 cents. So, 9%. So commodities in these times, they say they usually do well. So, dope. Want to move into the topic that we're going to be talking about. Why is it important in the tough times, or why, or how do people, deal with these tough times and try to, control their finances and manage their investments?
Yeah, and we always talk about building wealth, and what building wealth does. It helps you reach your goals, of course, but it also helps you survive setbacks as the stock market corrects and the bear markets come in, recessions, health emergencies, job loss, all those things. If you built wealth, you can handle them a lot better. So that's what we're always talking about. So when times are tough, like they are now, you have to make sure that all the things that are important in your finances are in order. You need to make an honest assessment of whether you've allowed psychological or other behavioral miscues to nudge you to make money moves that you might regret. And what you don't want to do is panic here. That's the most important thing. Make sure you have a set goal, you know where you're going, you know what you're doing. In these times, you need to buckle down and basically secure your ship. Make sure you are set for some of the volatility that's bound to come in the coming months. You look at your investments, your taxes, retirement savings, your credit and credit scores, all those things. Make sure they're straight. When markets get choppy, you got to stay disciplined. You got to stick to your plan and make sure your plan reflects your risk tolerance and that it's set up to handle these kind of things that we're seeing now in the market. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to go through some of the items that you need to look at and check to make sure they're where they need to be, because things are going to continue to be choppy for a while.
And the reason why some of these things may sound like you've heard it before from me and Dope, and that's true. But our focus tonight is it's one thing when things are going well. Like I'm talking about from like from like 2000 and well, we're going to see a chart like 2009, 2010 to now. The market was just going up, 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 up. And, you know, all boats were floating. I mean, you didn't even have to be some wizard of finance to get no major financial advisor to do well in the market. But our theme tonight is, but how do you deal in tough times, right? It's just like though when it comes to religion. Everybody believe in God when things are going well. When things go bad, they're like, "Oh, dear Lord, why me?" You know, can you still trust and believe your plan when times are tough? So that's what we want to get into. So with that, though, let's get into our first topic of being able to sustain and build wealth in these tough times with investing, keeping calm in
Yeah,
tough times.
yeah, and what we're going through now, it's a good reminder of why you got to have good investing hygiene. It's important all the time, but it's more important when times are bad. Right now, investors are dealing with, Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Pops talked about inflation, the highest it's been in 40 years, rising interest rates, and everybody knows how much gas costs. And we still are in the midst of a global pandemic, though everybody likes to pretend that it's over. But let's show you a slide that shows how the S&P has done in the last few years. Do you have that slide, Bob?
Sure do. Just trying to pull it up. Hold on.
Yeah, and if you look from I think 2009 on until to 2001, 2021, I'm sorry, the market's been up 600%. So as Bob said, everybody was rolling. Everybody was doing well. It was hard not to pick a good stock, but we're about to be into some tough times, and it's really important that you have everything in shape, and your portfolio should reflect the fact that there's going to be multiple interest rate hikes from the Fed. That's going to happen, and you need to make sure, as we always tell you, make sure your portfolio reflects your risk tolerance and what you can handle. And as you think of multiple interest rate increases, one of the things you got to think about is what type of stock should you be in. Financial stocks, industrial stocks, energy stocks, they typically withstand rising rates better than the growth focused counterparts. And so that's just a indication of what kind of stocks should be in your portfolio. If you're heavy in growth stocks, you're probably going to have a rougher time during this time of interest rate increases. So most important thing is, and we've been telling you this, you got to stay calm, set your plan, and stick to it. Make sure it's ready for the things that are about to occur.
Yeah, that's very important, especially when it comes to investing, though, because a lot of people tend to start panicking when they start seeing the stock market, dipping and going down. And like we always say, that's the time to use dollar cost averaging. But and if your stocks did go down, and say you did invest in stocks and got out because you panicked, that's okay. That's okay because you still got time. And that's what we want to give you some tips and understandings on going forward. That's okay. If you lost, that's part of investing. Though I want to talk about like how people need to be like what they call this is what they call turbocharge your retirement savings. And what we mean by that is that uh, saving $1 million nowadays for retirement may seem out of reach, particularly if you have competing demands on your money, such as student loans and credit card debt, and having to hurdle over inflations. Where the Moody's analyst found that the average American household is spending an additional $276 on goods and services a month because of higher prices. So, with that in mind, you need to take advantage of all the savings incentives available to you. Um, we are we quoting a lot tonight from the Kiplinger report, which had Kiplinger is a great report on stocks, mutual funds, and they have different types of subject, but they talk about the wealth subject a lot. And one of the things that also talks about, which some of y'all know, is that the most generous incentives comes in the form of matching your contribution from your employer. We say you are literally crazy if you're not getting your match from your employee benefits. And normally it's typically between 3 to 6% of your pay that they'll match. But you usually must contribute to qualify. And to not, that's almost leaving. So say you don't participate, you're leaving 100% of 6% on the table. That's almost like 100% of 60% you're leaving on the table. And so even if the funds are tight, try to contribute at least enough to match. Otherwise, you're leaving free money on the table. And as your income rises, you should be able to stash more in your retirement plans. Because in 2022, it's increased the investment level to $20,500 for your 401k plan, the maximum you can contribute. And just remember, you all, that lowers your taxable adjusted income, adjusted taxable income. So that helps you tax wise. And if you're over 50, you can put another $6,500 in it for a total of $27,000. And these contributions are tax deferred if you invest in a traditional 401k. Now, if your employer offers you Roth contributions, which is after tax but tax free when you take withdrawals in retirement, that is great too, because then your earnings will grow tax free. So those are some things. I know we've talked about them before, but we just want to remind you, you need to think about padding and putting more in your retirement savings. Desperate times require desperate measures. You must cut back on your spending and increase savings. There's no magic formulas. And it's really time to focus on creating and preserving your wealth and not spending on unnecessary things.
And another step you can take is take a look at your taxes. And a lot of people think you have to be a billionaire or really, really rich to have a group of accountants to do your taxes and find savings for you. And unless you filed an extension, you probably just finished your taxes sometime in the past month or so. And don't file it away or stick it up in the cloud where you won't look at it again. This is when you need to take a look at it. We always talk about taking the time, invest the time in your finances, but look at your taxes and see where you are and what you can do to improve your situation from next year. Okay, and the first thing you look at is how much you have withheld, and you can tell that by the amount of your refund. And we've always talking about how some people like getting those big refunds. That there's nothing great about that. You need to. That's your money. All the IRS is doing is giving you back your money. So if you get a big refund, revise your withholding and give yourself a raise every month, and then use that money to increase your savings, build an emergency fund, or pay off high interest debt, which would be the first thing you should do anyway. But try to get away from getting that huge refund and then not using that money efficiently to improve your situation. If you look at your tax return, it might show you how much you saved by putting money in a 401k, or if it didn't, it can show you how much you could save if you would put money in an IRA or more money into your 401k. Because as Bob said, that's a tax deduction waiting to happen. You can lower your taxes, which puts more money in your pocket. And also take a look at if you had any capital gains, if you had a mutual fund, because we do recommend, especially in these times, instead of picking stocks, is to use a mutual fund, but they pay capital gains distribution. So make sure if you look and you had one this year, account for that in your tax planning for 2022. You may even want to consider a more tax efficient investment instead of a capital gain distribution. Okay. And most people claim the standard deduction, especially with the tax changes that were made under the last president. But there's still a bunch of credits and deductions you can get and still not itemized. And I use TurboTax. I don't pay anybody to do my taxes. Obviously, I know a little bit about that, but I really rely on TurboTax because they walk you through everything. So what I'm most afraid of are people who do their taxes themselves without using, one, a professional, or two, a tax package that covers everything and make sure you don't leave anything off that could save you some money. So spend the money for a good tax package that's going to help you walk through everything to make sure you don't leave anything out. And so look at your entire tax plan. Make sure you're where you need to be. No big refund. You've covered any big gains or losses that you have. And keep in mind, if you do have a stock and you plan to sell it and recognize a gain, you got to make sure you have that money set aside, because the brokerage firms typically do not withhold taxes on those transactions. And so you look at things, whether it's a short term, depending on how long you held that stock or cryptocurrency or whatever capital asset we're talking about. So take a look at your plan right now. Look at your taxes. Look where you ended up. Work on your 2022 plan and make sure you're sitting in a better position next year than you are today.
Doug, I want to circle back because this is a very important fact I like to talk about, where it says use one of the tools is to, look at your W-4 and look at consider adjusting your exemptions, right? I just want to double back and tell people, because there's a lot of people, and once again, it's a personal choice. But if you're getting a big check at the end of the year, that just means Uncle Sam has been using the money. And let's say you've been struggling paying your bills. Say you've been wanting to get invested, but you didn't have enough money to invest. This is one of the ways that you can actually increase the excess money that you can use to invest or to pay some of your bills. But yes, you must make sure you take the proper deductions. You don't want to be owing Uncle Sam or being penalized. But sometimes these big checks, and I just feel that people for the longest though been thinking it's great, when they get that big check, I'm gonna go on vacations. But why would you let Uncle Sam use your money and you don't get the most out of your money? Remember, our saying is, you use your money, you control your money. Don't let your money control you. So I just want to circle back to that too, though, because I think a lot of people, not most people. Doe, have you finished your taxes?
Oh yeah, I've been done because I was getting the refund. I did mine as soon as I could.
See, people probably say, "No, I'm finished my taxes too, though." A lot of people aren't. But for the people that are, this is the time to look at your tax situation and see if there's some ways that you can, increase some of the money in your pocket that you can use. So anyway, sorry, just wanted to, circle back on that, Doe. Doe, I want to give a shout out to all our FITT people out there watching. The wonderful and marvelous Garnett Nickens, She said,
Hey,
good
Garnett.
evening, gents. My wonderful sister, Linda, is out there. Our frat brother, Clutch, Alpha Phi Alpha, Clutch Chicago. You know he always got us out there, though. My little brother, Carlton Chapman, and Tyrone Searles. What's up, Ty? What's going on? My other sister, Nolia Milton, is out here. And, man, my co-work, this man taught me everything I know about liquidating on the depositor side of banks. John Caceres, they took me under his wing and showed me how to process the liquidation of insolvent savings and loans back in the that's the 80s, right? So John, glad you joined us. And my homeboy Melvin Little. And let me tell you, the entertainment extraordinaire, Concert for Causes, dope. Brett Murray has a nonprofit, man, and he raises money and he gets instruments for underprivileged, unfortunate young people that can't afford these instruments, especially these days and time. And Brett has, man, I can't tell you, hundreds of instruments that he has provided for underprivileged um, uh, people in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. So keep doing what you're doing, Brett. He has a big Savior Buoys coming up. A big, I think is put in the chat what day it is, Brett, so I can tell people when your big Bowie concert is. He has about 20, 30 bands, though. So just want to we like to give, recognition to all the folks that take the time to watch us. Okay, back to the information. I want to talk about, though, how to polish and protect your credit. Now, good credit is getting the lowest possible interest rates. Everybody know that. Strong credit profile can also help you rent, or get lower insurance premiums. So it's so important you all to polish your credit. Oh, by the way, thanks, Brett. Let me tell you, April the 23rd and 24th, Savior Bowie. Man, he has vendors out there at Bowie Town Center in Bowie, Maryland. Make sure y'all go out there. That's a Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 6 p.m. So make sure y'all check it out. Great, great music, man. Just a plethora of different music. So, dope. To judge whether to grant you credit or what rate to offer, lenders often peek at your credit score. And your credit score is so important, but you can get a good idea of where you stand by using free sites such as Credit Karma, and they provide actual Advantage Score credit. Now, the three major credit bureaus we all know is Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, but there are several other reporting agencies that actually report your credit. Advantage Score is one, though the Advantage Score was actually created by the three major credit bureaus, and but they farmed it out so it'll be independent, and they just give you, and some vendors use them and others use different people. But your bank or credit card issuer can also offer free score updates to your customers. So, look out for that. Standard scores you all now through all of them is 300 to 850 to keep them all the same. 750 score typically qualifies you for most of the preferred credit. Most qualifies you for the best loan terms. Most important move you can make is to boost your score toward the top of the scale. So, and that's by paying your bills on time. And another sizable factor is your utilization rate, which is also called the debt to limit ratio. It's a percentage that reflects the balance of your credit card as a portion of your credit card limit. So if you have $1,000 credit limit and your outstanding balance is $300, that's 30%. Now, the lower the ratio, the better your score. So aim to keep at least at 20% to 30% or less if you can. Avoid opening several new credit card accounts at once. Each credit card application creates a hard inquiry on your credit report. Hard inquiries hits your credit score and lowers your credit score. And the more you have, the more it lowers your score. Because the presence of several hard inquiry card inquiries in a short time signals to the lenders that you may be a risky prospect as a borrower, and they lower your score. Review your credit reports. Credit bureaus compile information about how you manage your credit in the credit reports. And as we know, the three main credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, offer you one free credit report a year at annualcreditreport.com. But you can review your report for each of the major bureaus once per week now through the end of 2022. Like I said, typically you only get one a year from each credit bureau. But because of the financial hardships and the pandemic, each major credit bureau, you can review your credit report once per week. Regularly review your reports for errors and signs that identity theft is at work, such as a new credit account that you never opened or a collection account for a debt you didn't know. You can also use services that regularly scan your reports and alert you to significant changes. Credit Karma does that, free credit score. They both are free credit monitoring as well as access to your reports. If you find a problem, you must immediately contact the lender or the company that furnished the inaccurate information and file disputes with the Credit Reporting Bureau. Lastly, a credit freeze is the best way to thwart identity theft, identity thieves who try to open accounts in your name. A freeze blocks the lenders from viewing your credit report in response to an application for new credit, and it's free to place one on each of your reports. But before you apply for a loan or if you're looking for a credit card, you should temporarily lift the freeze. On you, Doe.
Okay, we've talked about this numerous times, and the reason we're bringing it up again is because when things are bad, I shouldn't say bad, when things are volatile, that's a better word, you need to have your finances straight to be able to withstand and thrive when times are bad. So if you have any high rate debt, pay that off as soon as you can. In the fourth quarter of 2021, total household debt reached $15.6 trillion. Credit card balances alone grew by $52 billion. Now, I'm obviously not talking to people who are having some bad times and need credit cards in order to survive. I think a lot of that debt is just people buying stuff. And as we talked about when we discussed the psychology of money, learn to appreciate not having debt. Learn to appreciate having a bank account, having big balances in your bank account, as opposed to having things. So try to pay off any high interest rate debt. And as we talked about the Fed raising the federal funds rate, that's going to hit the credit card rates because a lot of them are variable rates. And right now, the rates are averaging around 16%. So you can expect that to go up if you are carrying credit card debt. Look at all your other debts too. And if you got student loans, I know there was a moratorium on paying that back, but there's talk about extending it. But if it doesn't, you got to find a way to try to do that affordably in a way that doesn't cause you any pain. Auto loan rates, they'll probably go up slightly because of the rates. But if any advice you take tonight, if you can pay off any high interest rate debt, that's what we strongly recommend. And hopefully you have refinanced your house by now if you own a home, because rates are starting to tick up. But if you haven't and you still have a high interest rate mortgage and you can improve that by refinancing, take a look at rates and see if that can help you out. But you got to be as streamlined as possible during these tough times in order to thrive during them.
Good information, Doe. Hey, oh my God. Hey, Doe, check this out, man. Fish, David Norval has just joined us. Fish is in Scotland. And that's got to be like 2 a.m. in the morning. He's on with the FITT Show. We got him around the world. Hey, Fish, what part of Scotland you in? Are you in Falkirk, Grangemouth, Stirling? What part of Scotland? Edinburgh, Glasgow? What part of Scotland? Put it in the chat box for me. Where you living now? And I just want to shout out to Ronald Green. Hey, Doe, another interesting and important topic in building wealth in these tough times, you need to check your insurance coverage. You know, a lot of people usually, like a lot of times, sleep on that. Now, insurance is critical too to shelter you from, crushing expenses if assets such as your home or car are damaged, or you're responsible for harm to someone else's own, to someone else or their property. That happens a lot. You run into somebody's yard and knock down their fence. So, given rising construction costs, it's especially important to make sure that the dwelling coverage in your homeowner's policy is adequate to rebuild your house in case it's destroyed. And you need at least enough auto coverage to make the minimum insurance amounts your state requires for injuries or damages that you cause to other people's and vehicles, to other people and vehicles. But you need higher coverage. Yes.
Hey, let me back you up on the house too, because that's important now, because in most areas of the country, housing values have increased tremendously. And I've been in Charlotte for about 4 years, and our house value is up like 30%. So if you're not reviewing your insurance and something unfortunate happens, you'll get what's on your policy. And some policies have an automatic rider that automatically increases the value of your insurance based on inflation or some other factor. But it's another thing you need to stay on top of to make sure your insurance reflects the current value of your house.
Yeah, that's very important. And like I said, with auto insurance, you need higher coverage levels to have sufficient protection. It's often recommended that a policy should cover to $100,000 for medical bills of each person that you injure in an accident, up to $300,000 per accident and liability for bodily injuries, and up to $100,000 to repair other drivers' cars and properties that you damage. This is just the recommended minimum that you at least should have for coverage, especially these days with the high cost of medical bills and people's properties and the cars people driving now. Everybody got a Mercedes or a big luxury car. So you must review your risks and make sure you have all of them insured sufficiently.
Okay, and last but not least, look at hiring a professional. Hopefully you listen to us and get some tidbits from us, but we aren't looking at your individual situation. And if a professional may be able to help you make some decisions that are helpful for your particular situation, whether is it time to convert a traditional IRA to a Roth, or whether your asset mix should be changed, or even pointing out opportunities in stocks. They can also help you minimize taxes. A lot of firms will let you talk to some tax professionals at a lower cost. But a lot of times a professional will cost money. But if you make mistakes that can hurt your total wealth value, paying a professional a small amount may mitigate that loss, can help you keep you from making huge mistakes. So consider a professional if you think you need one. Find yourself a financial consultant that will look at your particular situation, even if you just use one from time to time, just to take a look at the direction you're going. A lot of them won't charge for that type of service because they're hoping to get your business down the road. But I know a lot of you say, oh, I can do it myself, but you don't put the time in to stay on top of it. And Bob and I always talk about, we do not recommend picking stocks. And even for professionals, it's hard to do to pick winners. But there's so many facets of your financial wealth, from trust to minimizing taxes to portfolio management. A professional can help you make sure you're on the right track.
Yeah, that's so important. And Dope, my friend out here put a message, Rodney Madison. Rodney Madison he's a good friend of mine. I work with him. He still works at the FDIC, but he has a company that he's created called the Note Experience, and he put in here as another means of to building wealth, especially in these hard times, is mortgage notes, like being able to hold a mortgage note. And it's so interesting about mortgage notes, because mortgage notes for real estate investors can potentially provide a steady stream of income opportunities with the difficulties of becoming a landlord, without the difficulties of becoming a landlord. So in other words, you can hold a mortgage note, and it's almost like being the bank. You know, where bank holds a person's mortgage, with mortgage notes, you actually become the bank. You hold a note, and you get those income streams from people paying their monthly um, mortgages. But he just put that in there. Just wanted to state, if you want to know more about mortgage notes, go out to thenoteexperience.com and you can find way more information about that. Thank you for that little tidbit, Rodney, because there's so, like you said, though, there's so many ways to build and sustain wealth. It's just that you got to make sure you pick what's right for you.
Yeah, and Bob, one of the things I'm looking at right now is real estate investment trusts. We talked about this earlier this week, but they typically are investments in commercial property or all types of real estate investment. They pay a pretty healthy return. And as I said, markets all over the country are just rolling. They're just rolling. And so that's something related to mortgage note that I'm looking at personally to see if I want to invest in something like that.
And
because of the times.
And RITs, what they call RITs, they have so many ways alternative to provide benefits. I mean, they also provide. Do I have the screen up there? I'm sorry about that. They also provide, just a lot of different incentives. Tax. They got tax incentives within RITs built in. They got capital gains in the RITs. So that's something to also take a look at. So, Dope, let's bring it on home like we normally do, my good brother. And let's look at what we got for our summary and takeaways today. Desperate times calls for desperate measures. And that's what we're talking about. You need to buckle up and really, control, and think about how you're addressing your personal finances.
Yes. Stay the course. Put the time in, come up with a good plan, and don't panic during these crazy times. You can't emphasize that enough. You don't want to be selling when the market's going down.
And be purposeful, or the same, mindful in your spending. Know where your money is going, stay on top of your credit, and take advantage of any tax benefits that you're given. And take advantage of the benefits that your job gives you with the 401k or 403b plans.
Yeah, and finally, don't get distracted. Stay focused. There's going to be a lot of noise, a lot of volatility, a lot of things happening in the coming months. Keep your eyes on what you're trying to do. Don't get caught up in the latest and greatest fads, and stay focused. Don't get distracted. Stick to your plan. You'll do okay during these times.
Though that was a whole lot packed in this show. We had about 100 pounds of knowledge in a 10-pound bag. as usual, but we got through it. And if anybody has any comments, please continue to put them in the comment box. We'll check them and go out there and look at our information and review some of our old videos that we put out there of information. Clutch said, I saw where Zuckerberg created a new currency. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people doing that. Ice Cube, though, it just, they have, you ever seen the 3-on-3? He has the big 3-on-3.
Yeah.
He's making people that can invest in NFTs, non-fungible tokens, in the big 3. Yeah, good luck on that one, buddy.
Don't invest in what you don't understand.
Yeah, look, Garnett says, sticking to the plan. She put a thumbs up. That's right, Garnett, stick to the plan. Don't go for the okie doke. So look, we're here every week, 8 p.m. Thursday, Eastern Daylight Time. I'd like to say, man, thanks so much, David, for tuning in. And everybody else, my man Ron Green, good to see you out there. And next week, dope, we'll do it again.
Be back in Charlotte. Can't wait.
Have a great evening, you all, and may the peace of God be with you.